I'm Tayris Mongardi, and get your drag fix on page 6.
Welcome to Werk Room Weekly. I'm Brian, and today we're joined by an extra special guest, fresh off Drag Race UK Season 7. It's Tayris Mongardi. Welcome to page 6.
Thank you so much for having me. How are you?
I am doing great. I love the animal print. I love the beret. It's also giving a little D from Clueless.
Yes, listen, I love Clueless as a reference point, and do you know what? I'm going to dox myself out here. I'd never actually seen the film until I got back from the show. I just love the fashion references, and I just never got around to watching it. So when we're doing the makeover, Danny Harmer was quoting things from it, and I was like, yeah. Oh,
you're like, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think of the movie now? You finally caught up, right?
Yeah, it's really camp. It's really camp.
Every line is quotable.
Yeah, and I didn't really make the edit, but I remember Rue telling me she thought I looked exactly like her. She was like, are you like illusion painting? And I was like, no. Because I can barely manage my own makeup. Trying to look like someone else.
I'm actually surprised Stacey Dash, the actress who of course plays Dionne, didn't respond because it is so eerie.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Well, let's get it going. Congrats on being part of the Fab Five and an all-around amazing season. We're gonna get into some of your favorite and best moments, but first I want to talk about episode 9, which just aired. You were so funny in the roast. Page 3, perfect joke.
Next up, we have Bones. Everyone clap for Bones.
Yeah.
Not the first time she's gotten a clap from a room full of strangers, and it will not be the last.
How did it feel just being so good at stand-up comedy? Was this like in your blood all along?
I mean, not good enough, apparently. No, honestly, I really enjoyed it. I think for me as well, I regularly host my own shows, like Me or Another Queen together, like pretty much every weekend, and I've done charity roasts and stuff before, so even though I didn't necessarily think it was my challenge to win, I really wasn't afraid of the challenge. And if anything, I still stand by all the material. I think maybe the only reason I potentially follied was that I can tell in some of the delivery, I'm doing it like I'm hosting at the gig. Like, I'm not being like, I'm in the roast, so here is the setup for this joke, and here's the punchline. It was more like, oh, I'm talking, like telling funny material, but in a really conversational way. So ultimately, I guess also, prior to it airing, you just kind of have to emotionally prepare yourself for the worst case scenario of it all. But watching it back, I was like, oh, that's actually kind of good. I stand by that.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone actually had some great punchlines, and at this stage in the competition, it's just like, it's sad, it sucks, someone has to go home, and this week it was you. How did it feel getting sent home by your friend, Catrin Feelings?
I think, obviously at the time, in the moment, you saw my reaction. I didn't particularly enjoy it. But I think immediately, you can see by the time I've walked into the workroom, I'm like smiling and laughing it off. Because I think more than anything, that reaction for me as well was just really a sense of relief. Like from the minute we got the call, from like the point of all the prep to being on set to like fighting every single week, I think that it was just like such an overwhelming release of emotions to say, oh, it's done. Like, whew, deep breath, have a chill. And the thing is as well, with my elimination, like it was all really nitpicky, and I feel like I can comfortably say there was no challenge in which I like was utterly abysmal. Like, you know, which is nice to not have like tanked anything. I just think really, I think Rue did me a favour, to be honest, because I think at that point she had a look at the 5 of us and she said, right now, who is not ready to be the next drag superstar for season 7? Maybe Tayris. Just send her back to the house, let her rest her feet, she'll have a cup of tea, maybe a biscuit or 2 if she's feeling crazy. And we'll see her in the finale anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah, honestly, like, I feel like I've got so much to be proud about for my time there, that being eliminated, of course, hurt at the time, but like in retrospect, like we're literally people dressing in wigs. Like, who actually cares?
And you know, personally, I think you should have stayed. But you and Catrin did give us a bit of a showmance for the ages. You know, can you give us a status on how things are going now? I've seen some cute Instagram posts since the show.
It's so funny because I remember it was not on my radar that something like that would happen. And I guess like it makes sense because you're in like a pressure cooker and you're just spending so much quality time with people. So if you find them attractive, then like it's really easy to, I feel like you skip all the first parts of dating because you spend all day every day together. Listen, well, we've kind of said we're gonna nip it in the bud a little bit until the season's done, then we'll really spill all the tea and everything that's going on. But what I will say is, did I text her about 20 minutes ago? Yes. so she can't be my bad books.
So you're texting every day, you're keeping in touch.
No, listen. When we're about, I still get some sugar, but I need sugar for my tea. So
exactly. I love the Nicki Minaj meme that you guys did on Instagram. That was adorable.
This is the thing. I'm very much my social media is like YouTube and like Twitter, X. And then she's a TikTok girl. She was like, every time I'm in her company, she's like, we need to film these TikToks. I'm like, yes, miss. It feels like strict wife, and I'm like the sad husband, like, yeah, okay, dear. So I feel like she'll be like, oh, do this, and I'm like, okay, I'll do it. Oh, but listen, it's getting the engagement, so I can't complain.
I know, that's what my nieces do with me. They're like, Uncle Brian, let's do a TikTok. I'm like, honestly, I have no idea what's happening right now.
Honestly, she had to teach me how to get them to record. Like, I was like, I'm only 28. Why am I like such a technophobe?
Honestly, well, let's get back to the season. It was, full of surprises. It was very unexpected. A lot of, topsy-turvy, I was calling it. Queens with Rue badges went home the next week. We have page 3, Bonnie and Clyde, Sally TM, who you sent home. But there were other queens that never got a Rue badge, and did very well. So what do you make of all this? Do the badges not really matter? Like, what's going on?
You know what I think it is, rather? I think our season in particular challenges kind of a little bit of the formula and the rhetoric of what we expect from Drag Race, because I know, for instance, for me at times, you kind of just come to expect as a viewer, if people are doing well in the competition, like if they falter, there might be some like accommodation made, or like, oh, if she's got 2 badges, she'll only be low and not lip syncing because she's done a good job up until this point. Whereas I feel like maybe Rue is just really trying to like test our mettle and say, okay, we are taking this week to week. So if you win a badge, that's fab. That was that week. This is this week. And if you did the worst this week, you will be punished. Which I also think though, sometimes living it was quite confusing, but also I guess what it is good for is keeping the competition vibrant and like a good bloodline in it, because I don't think at any point anyone thought it was like too far to come back. Because sometimes you can see a queen's got 4 wins and you're there with no win, it's kind of over. But even coming into the roast, I was like, okay, well, if I win the roast, which actually I don't think, now seeing the result, was hugely out of the realm of possibility, then I've had 1 win and 1 bottom 2 placement. That's actually not that different to everyone else at this point. Because then Select would have the same, Bones would have 2 wins, 2 bottom 2s, and Elle would have 2 wins, So I think it was making for a really even game across the board, which meant everyone was still fighting so much harder at all times, because it was never like, the game was never over for you until it was over.
That seemed like the vibe in the workroom, definitely, that everyone was on edge. No one thought they were safe.
Yes.
Maybe Elle the whole time was like, I've got this. But everyone else was a little bit like knives out, which I love.
Yeah.
I think week 5 was the full Tayris Mongardi experience. Your talent show crushed it, literally. You did an original song, the dance, the outfit, and plus you crushed a watermelon with your legs. Did you always have this talent inside you?
The watermelon thing is funny because I know initially, so when we were preparing for the talent show, I said, okay, what can I do? And I thought about doing some classical singing, but I was like, oh, I'd seen it done really well in a couple of the past seasons, like with Safira Style and Monet Exchange. And I was like, oh, don't touch that. Can I out-sing them? I don't know. So I'm not going to risk it. And then, so I was like, what can I do? So I also wanted to try and focus on a talent that wouldn't come up elsewhere in a competition. Like, I don't want to just like lip sync a song with no other piece to it, just like a fierce song. If I'm going to do girl groups, I'm going to do all these things. So for Halloween, I'd done like a pumpkin crushing thing, a Scooby-Doo. Like I had the personal fours just as Fred. And obviously that was seasonal, but I was like, I feel like if I really go ham at the gym, I'll have enough leg strength to do it with a watermelon. Because like, it wasn't that much harder.
I would actually think a pumpkin would be harder to crush with your thighs than a watermelon. Maybe it was a little...
You think that, but it's because it's hollow on the inside, so all you've actually got to break down is the initial surface area, whereas obviously the watermelon has like juice and like pith meat. What do you call watermelon meat? All the
Yeah,
way
let's
through.
call it the meat, the watermelon meat.
Yeah. Yeah, but listen, I don't think we've ever seen that on Drag Race before. I don't know if we'll
No.
ever see it again. I can say I was one of a kind that day.
It was incredible. And that week you also crushed the runway theme, having it large. I loved your nod to Black dandyism. It was so chic. What was your inspiration for this? Was it a little bit of the Met Gala? Did that come into play, or?
Yeah, so there were two kind of inspirations going into it. One, a good Judy of mine was on season 4, Dakota Schiffer, and she was like, right, we were kind of bouncing back ideas for the runways, and she said, well, it had already been announced that the next year was going to be tailored to perfection, so I wanted to do something with that. But also, something I talked about on the show, which unfortunately didn't make it there, was there used to be a drag artist in Brighton called Madeline Hatter, who's this really sweet girl. And she passed away a couple of years ago at age 19. She had meningitis. And so I knew if I made it to the show, I wanted to be able to do something in reference to her. So I also had like a little bit of Mad Hatter influence in some of the styling of that. As like a little salute to a cat who was, just a really lovely girl, really nice gem. But yeah, so I think a lot of everything on the show I brought to the show, I said, it's got to mean something to me. Like, if it's just a decorative object, the only runway I'd argue had no meaning to me at all was probably my nicest one, which is the Christmas one. But I just think everything I brought, I was like, if it doesn't mean anything to me, I'm just spending a lot of money on a decorative object. So I know, am I the fashion queen? Probably not now, probably not ever. But what I can do is make sure I can stand by the substance and the heart behind all of my looks.
I love the ho-ho holiday look that you had. You were just like an ice princess. It was just the blue is so beautiful. And another look that I was gagging over, we'd already talked about it, but last week's Celebrity Hun Makeover Challenge, the Clueless look. I mean, it's just, you're tall, you're 6'6". Next to Danny, you towered over her. The visual was so cool and just so exactly right. I mean, I loved it. Yeah.
That's so sweet, thank you. And I think especially with that one as well, I was like, okay, trying to think of instantly recognizable concepts, because I had another idea for the makeover, but
oh, really?
I'm not gonna say what that is. I might need to save that for All Stars. But I said, okay, what can I do? Because I think a lot of what I present on the show and in my drag in general is very black. So I was like, okay, I don't want to be paired with a white person and say, how do you feel about dreadlocks? So I was like, what can I also do that like speaks to my sense of like my love for like 90s noughties aesthetic and culture, but also that allows me to still like play with blackness, but doesn't also impose that on my makeover partner. And I was like, oh, Cher and Dionne fit. I was like, because anyone can be Cher of any race. And I was like, I also just want an excuse to get that lovely hat. So I really enjoyed the makeover. I think meeting Danny and just having that day was probably my favorite day, honestly.
It was so sweet, and that hat was everything.
Thank you, Mongardi.
And I also, speaking of, respecting the culture, I loved the outfit you wore for the roast. It was just exactly right. It was so chic and beautiful and stylish. It was very cool.
Thank you. Do you know what? That's actually just off the rack. I just bought it off the rack and then just rhinestoned like every single patch. And I remember Rue telling me like, this is one of the best things you've worn. And I was like, oh, it's literally from grassfields.com. It's literally from.
Yeah,
I didn't tell her that.
No, it cost $1,000. Yeah. Well, before we let you go, I think this has been going so well. I just have to ask you one last question. Next summer, can I come visit you in Brighton?
Yeah, listen, be my guest. Me, Anubis, Joe, we'll take you down to Chippy, go down the pier. Yeah, be my guest.
Go down the pier, maybe go on the Ferris wheel, catch some waves.
Yeah. Cool then.